YouTube, live on live stream. And I guess you better mute. And we are broadcasting.
Go ahead.
Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
Innovative, revolutionary, stellar development, purest universal knowledge. In a transformative, futuristic design. The Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit. The very first new evolutionary spaceship technology has been rolled out for mass production. Our Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit is constructed from high-quality materials carefully selected by our team of experts. Embedding the essence of the new GAN's plasma science and technology, it uses collective plasma field technology for changing and enhancing the environment of the body of the man. This new plasma enhancement changes the environment of the body to allow it to return to its natural balanced energetic condition, as in the womb of the mother, allowing every cell in the body of the man to find its natural original field strength balance. The shape and field distribution in this new space plasma technology replicates the inner structure of the universe and replicates the balance fields from which the man was created at the point of inception in the womb of the mother, not only receiving balance in the physical, but also in the emotional sense too. For the first time in the history of man, a system has been developed and delivered which not only enhances the physical body of the man, but also enhances the emotional part of the user of the system, hence reducing and eliminating many problems that could not be solved in the world of science, to bring the body of the man into near perfection as at the time of birth. This new spaceship technology can be within the reach of every man today and can be ordered by medical practitioners, sports specialists and healthcare centres. The Universal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the future you have been waiting for, is here. The journey from space to spaceship technology has started. Every order is subject to a contractual agreement and might require additional accessories priced separately for applications according to each case. You can order or contact us at office@at.kfm.global for additional information.
Hello and welcome everyone to the 391st Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, July 29th, 2021. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond. I'll be a host today, along with our co-host, Mehran Keshe. And of course, Mr. Keshe is the head of the Keshe Foundation and will be presenting today's workshop. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you ready to begin?
Yes, good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers of the Keshe Foundation worldwide. We welcome you back to another session of knowledge seeking and see how we learn from each other. In the last week teaching, we started a new progress, a new development, and we'll carry on with the same. As we promised, we tried to get the KF TV online by today, but the technician tell us they need one more day. By tomorrow they finish up. From next week we should be 100% online, back on live teachings right across the Keshe Foundation TV. We enter a new era of teaching, as I said before, and the beauty of it is, for those of you who understood it very easily last week, we taught you about the ganses for years. We taught you about the soul for 2 or 3 years, 2 years plus. And now, from the teaching of 387, if you listen to it in detail, we gave you an insight in what is to come. And from 390 knowledge seekers session, we brought what was taught in 387 to the physical dimension in understanding the process. So there we see the process of teaching has a rhythm, and we're going in that direction. Now, from now on, we try to bring the soul of the man and the soul of physicality and the physical condition of life for man in a space and himself and on this planet. So after 7 years or 8 years of teaching, now we're coming to the point that where the physicality comes into work of what we call universal creation of matter, and then transmission and transformation into the light, conformation into energy, which we had in ganses, and now the fields of the ganses, and the production of the fields of materials, which brings a new dimension to bring the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of the man, and the motion of the both in the depth of the universe becomes applicable and now understandable. So in the next few months and maybe a couple of years, we go into this direction. Now that we understood the soul, now that we understood the physicality, how we change matter into energies, now we are bringing to show how the two can work anywhere in the universe. And this brings a fundamental change for a lot of us. Coincidentally, we didn't plan this for thousands of years to be here, but coincidentally, a lot of things have said to be in line for the release of the new technology. We see as one of the most important factors which kick the World Peace and World Peace Treaty and understanding of the man's knowledge and opening of the universal community to man in the dimension of the soul of the man and the physicality. We will start in the next 7-10 days. Gradually, you will understand why and how. And in a coming time, gradually, we build you up to the position of understanding how the world leaders will join us as operating gradually as one. In a way, we bring the world leaders, the knowledge seekers, and geopolitics and many other kind of diplomacy into one. This will not happen overnight. The first stages of this is on the platform for the next 2-3 weeks. In the background, there's a lot of work to be done. And we wish those who are part of this endeavor a huge success. They need it. And in that process, we will see a huge changes in the direction and the dimension which the teaching and the technology of the new sciences will take hold and take shape. In that respect, We carry on with the teaching. While we are doing other things in the background to bring the teachings in line with the present science and in line with life of the man on this planet. Last week I opened a new chapter for you. About maybe 8-10 weeks ago, I asked as one of our knowledge seekers in the laboratory of the Keshe Foundation in Linz if he can make such a thing. I gave him an outline roughly of what I wanted, in a way what you see now on the screen. Because we would have had to look at the physical condition. What does and how does this system look like? Rick, would you like to put the screen, to share the screen with the image of last week, that we can work on it? In the process of the teaching of last week, I opened a new dimension in many, many ways for you to be able to, what I call, be constructive and be able to work to bring practicality in your, what I call, the knowledge of the soul and the knowledge of what I call existence. And in that process, we can gradually build up this process, which means we start understanding what is happening. And what I think is the best thing to do is to start from where you already done things. You have seen things. You have seen the result of this parameter on the table. Go back to very first things you learned. And then you see how this picture completes itself in knowledge. I tried to explain part of this last week. If you remember, at the very beginning, we had this with us as a main component of the body of the man, which allows man to be dynamic. Red tissue cells depend on the existence of the copper. And if you remember, when we put the copper with the zinc plate, one of the first things he gave us was CO2. The connection for neural system, the connection for line of communication in the body of the man. So we have seen this work. So we know this set of the cup is there while it's doing everything else to produce this. The reason I do this is for you to gain confidence in why and how this system is set up, that you understand it, because you all have done bits and bits of this in your work. And you have been with it, you have worked with it, you have done a lot of other things with it. The other thing we have seen with this, if you remember, in the World Cup, the One Cup, One Life, we had a very simple system. In One Cup, One Life, that we saved many lives around the world, we had this with us. If you remember the way it worked, nano-coated copper, spiral copper, and the zinc. In other cups of life, we went through the same process. If you remember, in the beginning of the process, we learned how to make sugar, as we said last week. And then you see the existence of dynamic sugar. A lot of people say, why don't I use G for galvanized? Because I chose C as the point of reversal combination of materials. You can put anything as galvanized. We call them composite materials, and that's why I use C for. In the process of life, as you change the what we call the inner materials of what we call plating, or galvanization, we can do other things. We can galvanize on gold. We can galvanize, we plate gold, we plate silver in our structure. We can plate any metal and get a combination of what we call point of reference. That's why you see as a composite, not as galvanized. Then, if you looked at the operation of all this, you have seen in the past that we used the combination of these four in a very hidden way to create sugar and blood at the same time, which meant we produced the energized blood. We managed to increase the what we call the strength of it. And in that process, we created more and more materials and conditions which led to creation of life, support of life. Without the presence and existence of the CO2 in the air, there would not have been possible the creation of amino acid. So, but there is one more important thing that you all have noticed. During all these processes, doesn't matter how you took it, you continuously produced different type of amino acid. Which means in the process of putting the material on the surface, the process of life started. The amino acid created over this process where you created the CO2 is different than the amino acid now over the same plate, because now there's a mixture of amino acid of blood. There's a mixture of amino acid of CH3. There is a mixture. So your amino acid on the top is a different amino acid as you had in individual sections and systems. In the process of understanding more and more, where it came to produce the physical conditions and using the copper in the process of the copper and zinc, or the process that not many of you ever tried, nano-coated zinc with the copper itself. You always use the nano-coated copper. None of you went to change and check what happened if you use a nano-coated zinc with a copper. You did zinc with zinc, but this now opens a new dimension. This now, with the use of calcium, potassium, magnesium, and other factors which you had in the water, and presence of silicon and everything else, creates amino acid on the scale that allows life to be created within this planet. How you change the factors between the magnesium and the potassium will decide on how material will react, what kind of animals it's going to be, and especially in the presence of the sodium. Then, if you increase the magnesium in a specific way, you create vertical life. If you increase the what I call potassium in the presence of sodium, you get vertical life. In a way, we know this factor, but now we can put it in a larger scale. We say if one has an extra Y or X chromosomes or this and that, it'll be a boy and a girl. In the world of creation, the whole chromosome depends on a base energy. In the space, if I change your body into a different material of the base active condition of the radioactive material, which is the potassium, you will find totally different kind of life. Magnesium and the sodium combination will give us different combination of white, red, hard, solid, soft tissues. Then we understand the process of creation. Small changes in the percentage of one or the other will create different tissues. A slight modification in salinity in the presence of maybe copper in a nano state or zinc in nano state, but a condition of interaction of the field of the gravity will give you calcium as a bone structure. In another universe, in another condition, it could be copper. You could be walking with the bones which are made of copper, or what we call bone as a holder of the structure of the physicality. Then in this process, then we understand how the worms can exist without any bone structure as such. Everything in the world of existence can be explained within the conditions of the copper universe. You just need to know which material to move in what position, to what percentage, what gravitational point. How do you change an energy cup into the matter cup? That's the wisdom. This is why I explained to you in the past, with one drop of water in a fish tank, I'll show you the fish. Now you understand that fish comes from this cup. Because we understand the process of manipulation of the fields. We understand the process of manipulation of the different field strength of the fields. We understand the process of interaction and manipulation of the fields. Then, as we see, with one drop, we create a man within the womb of the mother. With one drop, we can create a man in a fish tank. In the fish tank of the universe. One drop, that drop is the soul of the man. Physicality of the man will be, in a way, under contention anywhere in the universe, but his soul shall not. Because he has no dimension of lower strength physicality to battle with. The soul of the man works at the higher strength as a common denominator with the soul of the creator. So it decides where it manifests itself, how it interacts with the strength of the soul of the creator. Now you understand how I have taught you everything about the creation in past years. Now it's your understanding. Now it's your comprehension of interaction. What happened when you appear on the planet Zeus and there is no iron and there is no copper? It means you don't have existence. It means there is no gravity. How do you create the condition between the two forces of the creation, between the matter and energy, what we call field forces, gravity and inertia? What is the connection? And how do you change the gravity as a field force to inertia as a matter state of existence? Life, intellect, and existence is not exclusivity of Earth. Never been, never shall be. Your all understood that, for example, in the boundary of the Earth, energy packages are created from the interaction of the field forces of the Earth and the Sun, and receding and approaching the center by the inertia of the planet, it changes to the matter state in different parts of the planet itself. Everything does not fall on the surface of the Earth. Some of the energies can only convert within the structure of the physicality of the planet, where in that position they become gold and silver and whatever else. It's the same. The energies within the structure of the universe, in the interaction with what we call the physicality of the body of the man, the brain of the man, create emotions and physicality within the structure of the brain of the man. Not everything is arms and legs, not all interactions are the same. Then we understand how we are in communication with the rest of the universe. It was important for us over years to gain you that confidence, to get you that confidence, for you to understand the totality of the physicality of the man. In so many ways, it was important for us to be able to gain your trust by your own doing, by your own actions, by your own understanding of the process of creation. If I told you today, if you put the copper and a plate of zinc, you will make CO2, you would have laughed. Impossibilities. But now it's possibilities because you have tested it. You have done this for so many years. You have seen the amino acid. When we put in front of you the copper and zinc, and you created CH3, you gain trust to it. Now the cup of universe is no difference. Unless you're in denial, or unless you are those who is a hypocrite, or you have no knowledge of the science of creation. Those of you who deny the existence of the cup of universe, the way it's been explained, it means you have no understanding. And it means this is not your time yet. You are not matured yet to understand the process. Because over years you have tested everything of this, what is on this plate. In so many ways, if you understand the difference and the process of creation of gravity and interaction of the fields of the plasma's gravitational field with the matter state creation of the fields or inertia, then you have reached halfway through understanding the totality of the process of the creation, where to be energy and where to be matter. You will decide this condition. It's you who will have the say on which you can transfer, which one you can transmute, and where you manifest yourself. The point of the interaction and creation of what you call physicality is understanding the process of the inertia within the plasmatic field of the universe. And we understand how the inertia of every element, like its mass, is connected to the environment of its magnetic field, gravitational field forces. One is of the higher order, one is of the lower strength, but in interaction and conformation connected to the gravitational field forces of its environment. In so many ways, we can confirm or we can understand a new principle where what we call the plasma's gravitational magnetic field and inertial gravitational magnetic field. In a way, what we call the magnetical field, when it expands and dominates, you deal with a plasma. Where the gravitational fields and its strength in respect to its environment dominates, you become matter state or inertia. This will play an important part in understanding of how and when through the strength of field of thoughts you can manifest yourself as energy or matter state or physicality. And both are connected to the dimension of the field strength of their environment. If mankind understands this, mankind in so many ways have solved all his problem of being young, never getting sick, being able to eradicate everything in the body of the man by the man himself. Where through the higher energy, as you transform and go through the transmutation of the field of the inertia to matter state, you can adjust everything to the existence in comparison to the environment of life. Be it on Earth, be it on planet Zeus, be it on Mars, be it on any galaxy or universe or unicosmos. Because then you don't work only by the level of the amino acid of the man, but you work through the strength of the inner sanctums of the fields of the amino acid of the man. Then, in respect to it, in any environment, he can become physical or stay in a plasma state. What we call resurrection. Because you resurrect yourself from the energy fields of the universe into the matter state. Or from the matter state, you resurrect yourself in a dimension of energy, of plasma fields, in a dimension of the higher order, in the expansion of the fields of the universe. As I said, now we start teaching you to understand the interconnection, the understanding, the power which the man has within an inner sanctum, the soul of the man. This has been one of the biggest problems for the scientific world on this planet for time of the beginning of understanding the terms of inertia and gravity, or what we call plasmatic fields interactions. We know it is there, but we connected it to what was and what is. But in reality, it's understanding the order of the strength of environment, and you can become tangible anywhere. And if you get your inertial magnetic fields in the right order, in the inertial section of the work, you can become a liquid, you can become a solid, you can become a gas, or you can become what we call the first order of the creation as a plasma. Mankind has got everything in its cycle of understanding the wrong way round. We come from plasma, and interaction with inertia, and the strength of the inertia, we become what we call solid, a gas, or in a way, whatever we want to be. So in reality, mankind has no choice but to understand more about the facts that plasma is not the fourth state of the matter. Plasma is the first order of state of matter. This is where the interaction of the plasma with the inertia creates the condition of what we call tangibility. When we move from the inertia of the universe to the inertia of the planetary or environment, then we become matter state. In totality, mankind has to move into a new dimensional direction. What happens now that you are in the field strength of all these nano materials which you have put in the system, how would you interact? How would you consider and work? Because is it, or can it be, or would it be possible to understand new dimensions? Because now you have a totally different work in this place. What happens to this? What happens where the nano ion interacts with the ion itself in the presence of copper or zinc? Now you understand a totally different game. In a combination of many, many factors allows you to create many, many cells, many, many configuration of cells, and then interaction of the cells with themselves and their fields of their fields with themselves, and creation of new matter. Accommodation of creation of organs, accommodation of creation of interaction with the environment which dictates sight, vision, in a way, touch, fingers. And then you understand why the fishes don't have legs in the oceans and man doesn't have a fin on the dry land. The condition of the environment which is created in interaction with the dimension of the inertial strength fields, and at the same time with magnetic gravitation of the planetary system and the environmental system, dictates what creatures you will manifest yourself at when you become tangible. Then you will understand that the man will survive anywhere in the universe without the need for oxygen, without the need for food, without the need for any medicine or energy pack, because its soul, it adjusts itself into the dimension of the interaction of the fields of the universe and the point of manifestation. So man understands that he can live anywhere within the universe without the gas mask and the oxygen pack and the uniforms on his back. But it needs to understand the interaction of the dimension of his souls and the dimension of the physicality and the strength of the inertia of the point of manifestation. In a way, man already knows this, but he was blind to it. When you leave the physical dimension of this planet and you say you have died, but your soul takes free into the dimension of the universe and then manifests itself in another dimension as another planet or creature, then what happened to it? Hasn't soul done what we just explained? Now it's time to take a new shape and dimension in another position in the universe according to its strength. According to the nuclear scientists and the development of the technology, every time a man dies, energy, plasmatic energy, equal to 18 nuclear Hiroshima bombs are released, at least in what we gathered. So you can imagine what life this energy pack will create in the universe when it attains its condition of interaction with its physical dimensions in the environment of its manifestation. The Cup of Universe is a collection of the teachings of the Keshe Foundation in the past 20 years. because now every element in your understanding up to now of what we call the table of elements can be added to this universal plate. What you see in the periodic table in the form of a nano, in the form of matter, in the form of liquid as a gas and a salt, and whatever added to this creates its own conditional dimension. Do not forget that the man's, what we call this table of elements, is a fraction of the elements in the universe, not maybe even 1%. The periodic table needs to be much, much bigger, in triple digits and 4 digits elements, number of elements. Man only knows the tip of iceberg. The iceberg is huge. It's the size of the energy interactions of the universe, not what man sees on this planet. This is why gradually man will say he has found new elements in the universe, but in fact they've been there, they are there. From every interaction of every planetary, every system, a new element is created that the man has not even understood. Now, if we understand the process of the creation and interaction of the different magnetic fields and different dimensions of the strength of it, mankind will become wise to understand that there is no limitation in the dimension of the creation and the creator. When you look at this cup of universe, thanks God, we have taught you enough over the past years that you have gained confidence in its creation and application. In so many ways, we are putting another pieces of puzzle which has been hidden from you through the lack of understanding of totality, step by step forward. In so many ways, mankind is getting ready for what I call another way to look at its own creation and what has been created amongst and within him. Go back and decides to remove one of these elements and see what happens. What happens to the emotion? What happens to the strength of the soul of the man? What happens every time you change different number of a spiral? Would 10 spiral gravitational nano-material and 20 spiral will have the same effect on the rest of the cup? Yes, it will. Of course it will. It's a different planetary system, a different structure of gravity. Then if you understood this, then you understand how to create every cell of the body of the man. As the body of the man is in the vacuum of existence of the nano structures of many, many elements. Is a mayhem and a soup of the fields of the universe. In so many ways, I want to explain something very interesting to you, as I brought it up in the Bucharest Conference. Here you see 5 elements, nano-coated in different structures. And you can see the interaction of this basic 5 and some bits from the fields of the universe we have, which we have named differently, creates different cup of life. If you remember in Eindhoven, I opened a box with 27 different elements, position and size. And I opened it and I said, this is an empty cup of universe, empty box of universe. Now you understand how we were creating energies from it. As every position and every nano coating and every shape creates a different dimension, and this cup is not empty, but is a cup of life of the universe, very much like the cup we show. It took me since 2011. Now we are in 2021, 10 years for you to show you the empty cup of universe and the empty cup of universe. From a box to a cup. The knowledge always has been there. Is man, we had to teach for him to understand the cup was not empty, was full of fields of the creation within the universe. Now you understand how the technology has always been at the reach of the man, but man was not aware of the technology. "10 years to open this box for man to understand." The process of creation is amazingly simple. The process of understanding the process of the creation is a little bit hard for those who do not understand. In so many ways, mankind now has to understand that while his physicality exists itself, he has a control system as a soul of his physicality, and the totality of interaction of all the fields of it has a soul which works and interacts with every dimension and beyond. Where in a way the physicality of the man is the interaction of the fields of the soul of the man with the inertia of the interaction of the fields of his matter, which creates the manifestation of its physicality, which in a way work outside in for the planetary system, but for the life of dynamic life of body of the man, it works from inside. We bring the rays of the sun, we create the fields, and then in interaction with the center, we create what we call the inertia and the gravitational magnetic fields, where in the process of the body of the man, the field comes from inside, and interaction with the fields of the environment outside, and in condition of interaction of fields of inertia, manifests the physicality. So when we tell you, you travel with the dimension of the soul in any condition in the universe as it interacts outside will create different manifestation. Could be any shape, any color in the universe. Because the source itself, when it interacts with the fields of its environment and interaction with the balance of their fields and creation of manifestation of field strength of the existence, the inertia of the environment dictates how the fields of the soul of the man will manifest itself in that environment. I have made man in the image of myself. Does not matter where the man is, because it's the soul of the man is the image of me, not the physicality of the man, which is image of me. This is understanding and knowledge of the creation. Man does not change just because he puts different frogs on it. A clown, or a pig, or a doctor, or a black or white. It's the soul of the man, which with his interaction, with his environment, dictates the condition of the manifestation. Then ask yourself how, what, and which strength of the field of the soul creates the life in the shape of a pig or a dog or a tree. As said many times, when you look from outside in the dimension of the strength of the soul, you don't see the father and the king, you don't see the man and the donkey. You don't see if that brain belongs to a king or a pig, even though the pig is much wiser than the king. Because he understands how to interact, to survive within the structure of his field in this environment, where it does not kill and it supports his life with what is available left for it. But the king has to kill because he knows no other way. And he has lower soul than a pig, as he's changed and taken a life of another life. This is why we always teach, we always promote the understanding of the knowledge, where a pig is higher than the king, because his soul has chosen a different life. So shall be even the tree is bigger than a king, because it never kills. Does not possess as what is agreed with his environment is his possession. Now we understand. Now we understand how the soul of the man manifests itself in the different dimensions in the universe, where the soul of the man sits as a plasma. It interacts to the dimension of the fields of his environment in a magnetical direction. And once it reaches a point of the balance of interaction with its environment, it creates a dimension and the strength of the fields of what we call the inertia strength, and then manifests itself with the interaction of fields of its environment. Otherwise, the soul of the environment and the soul of the man, as long as they don't interact, they shall not create the condition of acceptance of physicality in the strength of the presence and manifestation, what we call inertial condition. I hope in today's teaching, I opened in a way, I peeled another, what I call layer from the onions of the knowledge of the universe. And step by step will take you deeper to understand, to get to the seed, to the center, to the essence of the creation, through understanding the knowledge of the creation. Mankind has a lot to learn, as long as he understands the process and can take steps to further understand what is the next step, where does it lead to, and what is functionality, and what is the response and the reason for its creation at that point on the spot. We go through a break and we come back and we answer some more questions. But now you have seen the process of 10 years of teaching, how we brought the matter, we brought the soul, and now in a cup of universe, we show how the two interact. There is another step to come, which, as we said, is depending on the inertia of the environment, where that inertia of the environment is the soul of the creator. Mankind is not ready for this topic yet. Then we understand. Rick, would you like to go on break and we'll come back?
Sure, Mr. Keshe, thank you. We'll have a brief commercial message here and be back shortly. Okay, we're back at the 391st Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, July 29th, 2021. I think we're ready to begin the second part of the show.
Yep.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Yes.
Yes, ready, willing, and able.
And the tradition is we have our questions and comments and so on. We have some hands up already. Question in the Q&A. So Marie had a hand up first. And so if you'd like to go ahead, Marie. Hello, Marie. Can you open your microphone? Well, it may have been an inadvertent hand up, perhaps. Well, while we wait for Marie, we've got Ed and Azar after that.
Good morning. Mr. Keshe, I have some questions regarding the inertia. When you talked this morning about how the different elements form at different places within the Earth environment, like in the atmosphere, or the heavier elements within the Earth, that not everything falls on the Earth. Can we say in general that the stronger plasmatic field strengths, the stronger, the ones that are generated as stronger energy packs, that they form into physicality more towards the center of the Earth because of the inertial interaction happens closer to the center of the Earth rather than higher?
Hello, Mr. Keshe. We're not able to hear you right now. I think your microphone might be off.
Yes, I said, can you explain this in more deeper, or explain exactly what you mean?
My understanding of the inertial field is that it's a point of interaction between, for instance, the Earth and the Sun, or any other two plasmas. The point at which their respective fields find a balance point, a certain region, which we call inertia, is formed. And that's
Inertia,
where...
let me redefine it maybe in a different way. Inertia is dependent on the strength field of not only the environment and the plasma, but of the point of observation or entity to observe. If we create an inertia, or the Earth inertia creates manifestation to iron and Earth physicality, is not in balance to the point of observation of another entity, Earth does not exist. Inertia has a point of conformation of existence in respect to another inertia or field observation point. There are many matters in the depth of the universe we look at, but they're invisible to us, because our point of reference of inertia in the matter state of the existence of life of the man in that environment does not find common denominator field interaction. So it's invisible to us. You understand? If we change the dimension of the strength of our souls interaction with its environment, then you will see the universe is full of things we never knew. Because then their field strength of inertia interacts with the field strength inertia of the soul of them. This inertia is only manifestable when it interacts with the inertial strength of the field of the man. And then, if you understand this, then you understand how even you can walk through a stone. Because its inertia does not exist in the interaction with the inertia of the field of the soul of the man. Do you understand?
I'm not sure.
You see,
it seems
Earth
you have entered.
Earth has an inertia. The soul of the man, with the environment of the vacuum condition of life of the man, has an inertia. And these two inertias have to match for matter or a condition to be visible to us, tangible to us, in a dimension where our soul has decided a point of interaction. Field strength, common field strength denomination.
Is it, when you say it depends on what our soul has decided, is it a decision of the soul, or is it just a factor of the strength of the soul?
Our soul is created out of the interaction of the fields of this planet. So it already has a point of reference, common denominator, inertia, interaction. It's a child of a child. You understand? We are a child of the sun, and the interaction of it with the interaction of the field of the earth has created us in the condition of the visible condition of the man. And we have created another moon, which we call the body of the man. But because of its close proximity and the field interaction of inertia of the body of the soul of the man, we see the manifestation of the physicality of the man. If you take the amino acid of the man in another position, the universe will not survive, because it will survive, but it will not be able to manifest itself the way it does on this planet. You understand? We confirm our existence through the existence of the soul of this planet, because we are created out of the strength balance of its fields. We would have never been created on the moon this way, because it has different inertia, it has different interaction. We are humans. We are anybody, any independent body is another solar system, another planetary within another planetary, which we call the Earth planetary system. Our body, it has a more or less 1 or 2 order of magnitude higher vacuum condition than the space. That's why it can exist so close to the gravitational field of this planet. We are not just walking on the street. We are another solar system, vacuum, totally vacuum, with its own planetary system, with its own solar system and everything else. If you could adjust the strength of the field of the soul, you don't need to walk. You can surf over the planet.
So what dictates how we alter the strength of the soul?
A subconscious decision, or filtering system, as I call it. There are a number of factors how we are attached to this planet. And if we can loosen or disconnect in step by step of any of them, we can fly, we can transmute, we can transport, we can do everything. It's just realizing how to connect and how to take out. You can physically, if you understand it, Let me explain something. You can physically, if you understand it, if you could change the inertial field force of the body of the man, and the arms and legs or somebody else's could do, you can penetrate the body of the man. You can take an organ out, fix it, and put it back. Or do it while it's inside you with another. You see, we have made a subconscious decision to these things, that it needs to become changed as our knowledge increases. We allow a surgeon to cut in us. We allow another foreign body to enter our body environment, to take things out and put back things in and sew things up. Because our body has accepted in the subconscious controller. If you can go into the system of the soul of the man and readjust it, the way you put a knife in the body, you can put a finger in the body. It's not magic. It's understanding the principle of creation. We allow a surgeon to go inside our body because subconsciously we see it as a point of survival, something we can do. If we allow a knife in the body, depending on its gravitational magnitude, the state of a solid state, so we can do a finger. So you can put your hand in. But we never think about it because to us it's something beyond the point of reference of understanding. If I can lower my condition of a state of expectation by the field interaction and allow a surgeon to put his hands as he has the same feel as me, he doesn't need a knife to get it. It's us who creates that initial, what I call inertial field barrier. So we can control it. And it takes time to teach. It takes time to understand. I teach many things, but if you don't understand it, you can't use it. We had a guy in one of the organizers of Bucharest conference. He said he has moved into the plasma energy and he hasn't eaten anything for 14 days. We see it in China. Do we need to create that barrier to convert the energy of the metal, or he's going to become like a plant, takes the energy in any shape or form from the environment? Many knowledge seekers have started practicing. And once you practice and understand it, then why do you need only to take food as a water? Why don't you take the energy into the soul? And then do you need my permission as a doctor to enter my body to fix something? Or does your soul agrees with my soul that allows the physical interaction in dimension of no resistance? There's a lot to come. Knowledge seekers from now on will open up new frontiers in the world of science. I say they start coming because some of them start understanding. And they don't become magicians, but they understand the process, feeding their soul without the physicality, and then gradually changing over. And then you can create a child without the physical sperm and egg, where the soul decides and the egg and the sperm is created. Because we allow permission. Pardon?
I didn't mean to interrupt. I just had another question that I wanted.
Yeah.
Does this control of the inertial fields come from our understanding, or is there something in our physicality that is actually able to sense these inertial fields? At some point, there's a touch point where our understanding and our control.
It's a fear. It's a fear.
A fear.
Fear is an emotion. And that fear is what stops you doing things. It's one of the safety valves, one of the most important safety valves ever created in the dimension of emotion. If you jump out of a spaceship and know you're going to be alive because now you switch to another dimension, the strength field of your soul, you will jump. But the fear of not knowing is what you will not do. But at the point of the 9 months, when the child goes through the birth tube, goes through the same fear. That's why we see diabetic 1. And if you have no fear and you jump, on the other end is the air you breathe. And you survive. Would, if we get 100 people to jump out of the space lab into the space, would all die? Or those who have no fear will survive and switch to a new dimension, feel the strength of their body. If the whole 100 numbers have no fear of, they all will survive. They start the newest generation and the cycle of life in the space. We do that with our physical life. We go through training to accept more pain, more pressures, more and more. We go through the courses. We train ourselves to stand very, very low temperatures. We go and sit in the ice for hours. We go into the frozen swimming pools, where if I go with no experience, no training, I'll die within minutes. We call it the hypothermia. Why doesn't it happen to them? Because they accepted the condition. We have to accept there's another stage after the life as a physical dimension if we go through it. And that fear holds us, has encapsulated and imprisoned us in this. But fear with knowledge is different than fear with no knowledge and just jumping in and see what happens. The guy who goes to sit in the ice water pool has trained, has understood how to adjust his body. How to create the fear bigger than the fear of death, that he can go in there and beat it.
So it's our understanding that develops, that creates the ability to the sense of the fear will alter as our understanding grows.
In a way, I see a number of Chinese knowledge seekers will move into the level of the soul very soon. A few knowledge seekers in the West, because we are too materialistic, may do in time to come. But the knowledge seekers of the Chinese knowledge seekers who went and are going through the process of no physical food, gradually reach a point that they connect to the soul. And then they go through feeding the soul that it feeds the physicality. They don't need to drink or eat. And it's not the first time. Many people in the past have reached this position.
I myself have just gone 5 days without food and intend to go 10. So that's...
What do you do?
I use both the Gans water and the what's called the Master Cleanser, which is the lemon juice and maple syrup and water drink. And it works quite well. I'm starting to feel way better now than I did at the beginning when I was having trouble, and that's why I started fasting.
But you're still taking the magic maple syrup of Canada.
Yes, the sugar, but it's a broad spectrum sugar. It's got multiple types of sugar in it, and it's from the sap of a tree. It's the blood of a tree, basically. I'm a tree vampire. But it works for me. I've done it 2 or 3 times before in my life, and saved my own life when I was in my 20s with a bleeding stomach ulcer and all kinds of pain and agony. They wanted to operate on me, but I wasn't into being put into the knife and all that. So I, as a last ditch effort, decided to fast, and I was cured of my stomach ulcer that had me doubled over in pain for a month. Within 3 days, the pain was gone, and the stomach ulcer was cured within 10 days. So now I know that the power of being without food is amazing, actually.
I think half of man's diseases will go away when he doesn't use consume.
I had that exact thought yesterday. It's the consumption of food, especially in excess, of course, but that ends up giving us problems. For me, I ate too many of these power bars that I think the chocolate did me in, on a physical level at least. But I was down and out for 2 days solid, and I had to start fasting to recuperate.
But we'll see the number of knowledge seekers will go through the what we call the transition phase, especially the Chinese.
Definitely with fasting, you get much closer to what I would say the soul. It's just the outer layers tend to, fall off. You're no longer in the habit of eating something and looking for food, preparing food and dealing with food and all of that ritual. And it that frees you up to start with, but also it's a time of reflection and of going inside and kind of letting go of and reprogramming yourself. It's an excellent opportunity when that the burden of all the energy, like you said, Mr. Keshe, a lot of our energy goes toward the digestion of the food. And we get 80% of our energy from the environment and only 20% from the food. And it's all tied up in that digestion process and assimilation and so on. And finally, we get the energy out of it at the end of it. But if we can get closer to the source, then we don't need all that interaction in between, and try to tie in more directly with the fields. That's where the Gans water is very nice as well. Shall we continue?
Hello?
Shall we continue, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can now. I didn't just until just now. I was talking, of course.
Yes.
Maybe I put you to sleep.
No, I was on silent for a bit. I don't know what happened. It was switched to silence. We gradually progress towards this direction and dimension. We gradually, more and more knowledge seekers will come through this point.
It was interesting. Today I went for a walk to get a bit of exercise, and I encountered a person in the park who had her hand on a tree. She was, I guess, feeling the tree or whatever, and I was kind of rushing along trying to get some exercise, and I passed her and then came back down the trail again. She was with another tree with her hand extended out and her eyes closed, with the tree. And as I passed by, she opened her eyes, and I sort of asked, what is this tree telling you? And she was a little surprised, but she started to open up and said how she's sometimes gets visions and other mental images from communicating with the tree this way. But today she was feeling healing, both for herself and then sending the healing back into the tree as well. And I asked her a bit about that, and turned out she was a local person that has an ascension site and is one of the people that are involved with this ascension process that seems to be going on, or at least talked about on the planet. And so we connected, and I told her all about the Keshe Foundation stuff, because the first word that came out of her mouth that surprised me was the word plasma, before I even mentioned anything about plasma. And so here I was out in the forest. I hardly ever talked to anybody on this trail, and just happened to connect with this person. And it was a very, nice connection, and maybe something will come out of it with her group that she has, and with the Keshe products and the Keshe plasma teaching and so on. So it's amazing how the interconnection with people out there can happen that way. It's quite magical, and well, it's not magic. It's part of the science. It's interaction of the fields, and you're bound to run into folks like that, I guess, if you're open to it. I don't normally stop and talk to someone like that. I would just go by, but I just happened to be, probably because I was a little more open after fasting for a few days, 5 days. I felt more open, and it just allowed that whole transaction to take place, and it's quite nice. She was very appreciative of the information she was getting, and the link that I gave her, and so on.
That's fantastic. We connect in different ways with people according to how and the way we see our soul sees our position in respect to the environment we are in. I think more and more knowledge seekers in the coming time will start a new path of evolution, understanding the totality, and become part of what I call cycle of life, which is more open to understanding more knowledge about the creation. It's a new creation, new generation of man who will gradually come to go back to the origin of no consumption. Doesn't matter what. Any other question?
Yes, I'd like to bring in a couple of other questions before we have Azar here ready. There's one from Hassan in the YouTube, who says, Mr. Keshe, you said last week there is only one way to connect the cup. Having all our emotion in common, isn't that the way to connect? If not, could our fingers be the connection, our skin being the nano?
I said that because I said there is one way to connect the cup that you get the response. In a way, you can connect these cups in any shape or form or dimension and get a specific response. But if you connect the whole structure of the cup in one way, which give you the only way, which give you the final outcome, is the creation of a new life, or interaction with the creation of a new soul within the center of the cup. That's what outcome is. As long as this I explained with John in a couple of teachings before, when I spoke about the crystal and the ball we put on the top of the table in the knowledge seekers teaching. Once you create the right balance of the fields and materials and conditions within the cup of universe, that circle I put in the center, which I said is the soul, that will light up. And then that's the soul of what you have created. You become the creator of a soul. Energy field that it lights up, that in interaction with the fields of your existence lights up.
Mr. Keshe, oh, sorry, yeah. Go ahead.
And then you will see the cup coming up. I saw this you sent me. This has no relationship to what we teach. This is different cuts of diamond, brilliant cuts, and the old cut I call it. And this in fact focuses on many things that you can light up. You can create that what we call condition of the lighting the center point, and it becomes the soul. And then you understand, you started with a cup, but you facilitate the physicalities and everything else to create the right communication. Then you will see the center will light up because of the reflection of the field's energies within the structure. One of the most important things for many knowledge seekers is when you make these cups, you make a slight, small mistake. And that mistake is when you make, for example, your nano plates, when you start doing on nano coils, just don't wash them. In the Keshe Foundation manufacturing, we use ultrasounds to vibrate everything out of the plates. And when you use different salts, filter them, that no matter enters your cycle, because then we can't have a piece of shrapnel in the leg of your body, born with it. When you make these cups, when you endeavor to go in process of manufacturing or producing these cups, make sure you stick to the principle of the creation. And then go to the next step. This is important to observe, and it's the difference between getting a system working and the system is then and does nothing. You got to become like the creator perfectionist. Everything has to be, otherwise you get something else which you were not expecting. Any anomalies will create a different condition. Any other question?
Perhaps we can hear from Azhar now.
And good morning, Mr. Keshe. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
There's something that it came to my mind yesterday. I don't know if can be correct or not, because when I look at the cup of universe, and then I look at my body, I see I have, especially when you created that two hemisphere of the brain into this cup, then I was thinking each organ in a body is using different salt combination for it to function. And then I have the neural system, which is my wiring. So can I use the body as a cup of universe and each organ representative of each plate, either a spiral or flat, and then you use a neural system that is already there and connecting all the organ, and then salinity in my body, which is already there, all of the cells are there, and create this cup of universe within the body.
The body of a man is a cup of universe.
So can I play with
It
that?
depends where you want to place this universe.
Okay, so how can I play with that? How can I create this in here rather than out there?
It's how you interact, because don't forget, most of the things in there is already predetermined over billions of years through different ancestors of you. Now you have to go and dismantle it or open a motorway through it.
So it means there's a lot of junk in there. I have to remove the junk, make it.
No, not the junk. It's just there is you because of all those things put together by your ancestor blood holders. The body of the man is not just as you see it today. Every organ, every cell in your body is added pre-plannedly added to be there to create that cognition. Even the position of your kidneys is not the same as everybody else, because somehow this thing in your body has to be in a given position to create other conditions for it, that the other cells and organs can exist. Changing a body of the man is a big, big job. It's easier to work with the soul than the physicality, if you want to make any changes.
I understand this because I remember when I was like 30 years old, when I went and I did the checkup with my doctor, he found a condition that it was with my liver, and he says, where you come from? When I told him, he said, okay, that has to do with the that region, Iran, that it has this come from that generation, which is normal, and he dismissed it. He said it's okay. So I understand that. Now, the other question I have is this, because this comes up everywhere I go, especially with Buddhist community. They believe in reincarnation, and I keep talking to them, but then even people who got enlightened, they said, even Buddha, if you look at his script, he described every life that he had lived on this planet, even as a single cell with detail. So when I said there is no reincarnation, they said, yes, it is. So, and then there are people present now as gurus that when they got enlightened, they talk about all the past life, and then they say the way they see it, since they got enlightened, because of the karma they have, they said, no, they don't accumulate any action anymore, because at the time of death, they're not going to die. They leave their body because they don't want to come back. But then you say we don't come back. We only have one life. So how do we
Humans have one life because we've chosen that way. If you choose a cycle of life, which is to achieve a target, you can change different clothes. You don't change as a person just because you put different clothes on. It's still the same man inside. But with us, that inside is the soul. Doesn't matter what frock we put on. I was explaining this to a knowledge seekers a few weeks, few months ago. I can tell you exactly, precisely, where there is even today an oasis. One tree, one water well, and I stayed there for decades till the time was right. I explained this to the knowledge seeker. I remember clearly the whole stages of the life, the existence of the life, because we are present as a soul, not in the dimension. We choose the dimension of physicality to be present or not. But man chooses one physical life and it carries on because it comes from an amalgamation of physicality to soul. We come from the soul to physicality. It's a totally different position. And this is what I said, the new life on earth to come is created out of the soul, interaction of the souls and not physicality. This is why I said many times, I even remember the hammer of the nail in the palm of the hand. We chose, mankind changes clothing. We change the clothing of the physicality of the man, which is a big difference. Then we don't need to remember because it's part of the process of the soul. It is in memory bank, it's in RNA. And many people have spoken to, I can tell you they just talk because they read, because they don't understand. This is just a fake talk. Because we see the soul. We walk. You change clothes, we change bodies. But it's the same soul. Be it the soul of the Christ, be it the soul of Moses, be it the soul of Muhammad, that's his name, and everybody else. And there is a big difference when you come from the soul, you change the physicality, or your physicality, you change your clothes, because you have no control over it. You just let it breathe free now to go and learn. Where we have learned, we come to show. And it's a big difference.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Mr. Keshe, also you said you came from planet Zeus and you're not from here. So my question is, how if there are other people who are not from here but they live in this planet, but how did you show up in your mother's womb? I mean, how did that happen?
We take the body of the man. We don't take the process of life of the birth of the man. It's totally different. If I tell you the planet Zeus is the creator, how would you go? You go crazy. So you're happy with the planet Zeus, so we play with planet Zeus. The understanding is according to the intelligence. The process of creation has a physical dimension or a soul dimension. You can create through the soul. Then the physicality can be any, or you go the way the physical dimension goes, you create this physicality to create the soul, and then that soul needs its freedom to take new dimension. But we come a different way. We come through the soul. And that's why I start teaching that the new generation of man will create the soul first, and then through it the physicality decides. Because the new generation can live anywhere in the universe because it changes just the clothes. But the soul in essence is the same. But when you are created out of the soul, you carry the knowledge of the universe. Because when the soul is created, all the fields of the creation will come together to create that soul. We are about to witness the birth of the first such a thing on earth in what we call creation of it, not birth of it, very soon. And that is what we call the Mitra, the mother of the creation. We give it a name, but in essence is the soul which can allow life, a new generation of life to be created. Through the soul of the existence and not through the physicality. This process is part of the teaching, gradually we'll come to it. And as I said in the past, You don't have a delivery room in the universe because it's created out of the soul. You don't need a birth passage because it comes out of the, what we call the beauty of the wanting to give, what you call love. It's a big difference. We are not visionaries. We are creator of the visions. It's a big difference.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Any other question?
We had a question in the Q&A from Salamia, who says she's relating inertia of the environment is the soul of the creator. Could you please elaborate on it?
No, listen to it, you'll understand it. Depends who is the creator and what you want to create and who's the observer of that creation. You can you can tell someone how much, or you can tell people around you how much you love something. When they're not in love with it, they don't understand what it means. It's crazy, it's in love with a chair or with a picture. But to you, you have established the feel the strength of understanding and connection. To you, it means everything. So it's a point of observation. What is observed by you, what connection you have made to it. It's the same as inertia. I was with a knowledge seeker recently, and we saw traditionally in Europe, the girls who get married, they dress up with the 3 or 4 other girls, or the best girls, girlfriends. They dress up with the bride clothes or whatever and walk the streets and do all sorts of things, you know, as they'll be coming to bride, everybody sees. And this bride was typically very different than what we call normality of what we accept now. But it's a beautiful being, but in a different shape or form or whatever. She was very much different than whatever. And the knowledge seeker said, who falls in love with that one that she's getting married? I said, very simply, it's the eye of the beholder. What you want to see, what you see in that you manifest love to it, that or she manifests love to him. And this is what we call inertia of the manifestation. How we manifest, or how we want to manifest a physical dimension to the soul of the man. And it's the simplicity of it, understanding of it. You change the love for such a thing to love for creating a
Okay, thank
fish.
you, Mr. Keshe.
Can you hear me?
There was a question from Spirofy Jess. It's the best pronouncement I can make. Please, could you explain how this interaction between us in this moment is creating a new cycle of creation or acting over the soul of the man? Thanks a lot.
Can you hear me, Rick? Hello? Hello?
Does that question make sense, Mr. Keshe?
You cannot hear me, unfortunately.
Whoops, I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you right now. I'm not sure what's going on there.
I think you
Rick,
cannot
can you hear me?
hear.
I can hear you, Mr.
Perhaps it's
Keshe.
at my
I can
end.
hear you, Mr.
I can
Keshe.
hear Mr. Ketch as well.
Yeah, I think Rick is disconnected. Hello, Rick. Are you there?
I'm not able to hear you, Mr. Keshe, and not sure if it's at my end or if it's.
It's at your end,
yeah,
Rick,
it
because
says
we
you
can hear him.
Okay, there's some connection that I'm not getting here.
I think you cannot hear us. You have muted yourself. You haven't muted yourself. You have muted your microphone. Can anybody else hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine, Mr. Ketch.
I see there's an issue with my, let's call the live stream desktop audio capture, which translates back into the live streaming. And if I have it on just my own headphones, I can hear you. But if I put it on the live stream desktop audio capture, which I need for the live streaming, it's not going through. I don't know what happened.
Hear me now?
It's never done that before.
Hello, can you hear me?
First of all, sorry on live stream that we missed the comments from Mr. Keshe, and I'm not sure if I can patch it in easily without leaving the whole thing here and restarting live stream.
Don't want to start the live stream, stay. Can somebody in the background? Let's see if you can see it. This is the beauty of live presentations.
Sorry, I missed what you were saying there, Mr. Keshe.
Can you hear it? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, you're back. Okay. We
But
could hear you talking to yourself.
Yeah, I was trying to balance my microphone in the live streaming and trying to switch over to another form here with the live stream desktop audio capture. So right now, let me just try it once again. And
Everything is okay at the moment?
now it just kicked in just now, finally.
Okay, carry on.
So
You were reading something.
Where was I here? From a question from Spriofi Jess. Could you explain how this interaction between us in this moment is creating a new cycle of creation or acting over the soul of the man?
Both ways, but we choose to use the physical dimension. As simple as that. Your soul hears before my voice goes, but the way we are geared up, we prefer to hear it by noise than by soul. Can you hear us, or have we lost you again?
It's perfect. Thank you.
There is something that we would like to emphasize. The 4th and 5th of September conference in Linz. Those of you who want to attend this conference, please register, because there's some parts which we want to add and take in a new dimension in teaching in this conference. If you are joining us, register within the next week or so, that then we explain why this conference will take a new shape And in so many ways, most of the conference will be handled totally different way, which we haven't done before. And we want to see a new way of teaching, which we will explain in the next couple of weeks about it. But then it depends how we progress in the next 2 or 3 weeks. The Linz first conference will be very much different than any conferences which Keshe Foundation will hold. Secondly, this conference will be the celebration of the opening of the Keshe Foundation new center, the exhibition center and the new conference hall. And then in the coming times within the city of Linz, Keshe Foundation opening of its first factory. It's please, if you're going for that conference, I don't know how many people have applied up to that, but we will put a cap on it very soon because we have a different perspective regarding this conference in Linz, and we'll explain it in the next couple of weeks. It'll be nice to have the knowledge seekers amongst other people, which we are bringing in to bring new technology. Any other question?
Yes, we had a question. Let's see here regarding from Antonio. Mr. Keshe, can you speak about your return to Iran and the new administration attitude towards you and the university teachings of plasma technology?
We are 5 days away from inauguration of His Excellency President Raisi of Iran, and we will outline our position most probably next Thursday or the Thursday after. It is very close to what we call big changes, especially in Iran, and we keep Keshe Foundation's independent organization, and at the same time in line to work with a number of nations. We are waiting for what we call news from 3 nations within the next 48 hours that will preset our position and direction in coming up Iran, new presidential office, and the rest of it. We are not connected by any way with any government anywhere around the world, but we work within a structure and through the governments to achieve sharing of the technology and knowledge and peace. Today we are expecting a response from one of the world leading nations to us. We are hoping they respond by close of business today, as they tell us themselves, and that will take us to another position. They got to realize we are dealing in a totally different structure, and many knowledge seekers have not realized this way the Keshe Foundation works. We are setting a unified nation, but we are using the present structure of the nations to make them unified to become one. It's a lot of diplomacy, it's a lot of work, but at the same time, in all negotiations, we represent the Keshe Foundation as one nation, which most of you are part of it. And this is a way the Keshe Foundation has set out and has been from the beginning. We never, as we said, even in our technology and knowledge, we add to the knowledge. We don't bring something new. We gone from atomic to nuclear, and now we're going inside the nucleus and inside the plasma. And we add to the knowledge of plasma. It's the same with our work within our protocol and diplomatic structure. We do not go out making new parties and winning elections. We use the present structure of the governments to win world peace through their structure and their work. And it's much easier this way than actually trying to do it the other way that many people have tried and failed. And we'll see how the things will take shape and how in the coming weeks and months we manage to structure it. With it goes a lot of other things. We have received a lot of good news in past few days in respect to our work, and the same is with the university. As you asked the question, we will announce it as we come to the work and the layout of our work and our expectation and our direction. Things don't happen overnight. It takes time. You have to work on it to at the same time the other people who you are dealing with, they have to decide and work on it. We have a plan how it will take shape, and we shall see the new administration in Iran, how they will come and how they respond, and how they work with the Keshe Foundation, science and technology, and the peace work. And through it, at the same time, we are working with other governments on the same level, the same way. We don't sit with one, never sat with. And we negotiate on behalf of a nation and on behalf of one nation, one planet, one place. It's a different way of understanding the work. Any other question?
Yes, we've got several more questions here in the Q&A. Antonio mentions, hello, Mr. Keshe and Rick. Years ago, I experimented with trying to shift my consciousness into a tree. To my surprise, I was in the tree, and straight away in shock, I retreated back into myself. Fear perhaps made me return. So it's more
it's
of a
very
comment,
easy. You can do that. We can do this very easy.
I think that's what the girl was doing that I met, the lady that I met today on the trail. She was transferring.
We don't transfer, we connect, we understand. In English language, you say, I feel your pain, or I feel what you're talking about, because I've been through the experience. We have some line of connection. We have a lot of connections with the plants and trees and everything else, but we decided to block it because then we can't eat them. It's the same with everything else. I always laugh when I hear pigs are 99.5% the same as humans. Of course, we're all the same mother. We all create out of the same protein mixture which came down. The environmental condition made you to walk on the 4 legs. The environmental condition made me to walk on 2 legs. You think it's different? I think it's no different. Why do you think when you go to near a pig, runs away from you? Why do you think when you go and get a chicken to slaughter to eat, runs away from you? Because he knows from your soul what you're up to do to him. Doesn't need the language, doesn't see the knife. It's not the fear. He keeps his distance. I know what you're going to do to me, and I don't accept it. But we got 2 legs, we run faster, we are more agile, we catch it. But in fact, the soul of the chicken already knew what your soul was planned for it. And it's a very, very strange feeling. And sometimes it hits you so bad. And sometimes you just ignore the face to go. And that's what it's got to be. That's the way it is. You come through, to go through an experience and to go. And I had this feeling yesterday, very bad. We were invited for meeting a family, and the family made a beautiful soup. The chickens in the middle of, or just before we start, I was told that the family has slaughtered a chicken this morning to make the soup as we were coming. Now you can imagine how I felt eating, but it was too late to do anything. In so many ways, we choose the rightness to be able to carry on. This is how we become who we become, ignoring emotions. Because we are more important than those emotions. Any other question?
Dean with the hand up here. Perhaps he could go ahead.
Thank you, Rick. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Hello, everybody. Mr. Keshe, can I ask a question about the, you said about the 4th and 5th of September in Linz. Can we elaborate on that a little bit more? Are we allowed to open that up to explain and know what we can expect if we
Nope.
come to this conference?
Nope. At the moment, it's just a conference. I know you are there. You're most probably speaking from that center. We are trying to readdress this very different way for the 4th and the 5th. And we do not disclose it because last time we disclosed what we're going to do with the Linz, what do you call it, exhibition center. We saw a bunch of hooligans from Belgium and Germany, and also some even from City of Linz. One gay guy, what do you call, pedophile. His hand was opened up, and they made all sorts of communications. And we saw even one road that we spoke with the lady, and blah blah blah. So this event is if you want to attend, it is there as a conference to attend. But you're planning to do totally different things with it, as you are aware. We haven't even released what do you call, the center position or whatever. But actually today, the new exhibition center has received or will receive its own first visitors, group of knowledge seekers who, what do you call it, are there for a specific purpose. And we do not, what we call, operate the way we done before, because we realized every time we announce something, those who we damage their interest by opening their hands to be belonging to what wrongdoing groups, they go for what they call revenge. So the opening of the exhibition center on the 4th and the 5th of September is planned totally in a different way. That's why we said knowledge seekers who want to join, you can join us, but the rest of it will be part of the work of the Keshe Foundation, because now we are permanently there. We're going to be there for years to come, and it's a beautiful position. The enhancement units are already placed, and we will not release anything till the opening, when the opening is done. And it's introduction of science and technology and new space technology as part of a conference. But the audience, main part of them will be what we call, is a different way. We don't put outside. What we're going to show, we don't let either know.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. So I've seen the building. The building's very impressive, and the enhancement units look very positioned extremely well. It's got a feeling of an exhibition, and the studios and everything. We're going to be very, very.
You're there every day. You're enjoying
They're going to be
it.
wonderful. They're going to be wonderful. Yeah, it's an ongoing process, and it's great to be part of it. And yeah, it's very exciting times. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you.
Thank you. This is going to be a departure from what we've done before, and this is this all goes back on, as I said, how we set this up. The exhibition center in Linz, primarily in the first stage, in next few weeks, prior to opening, will be used as part of the what we call one of the main objectives of the Keshe Foundation, work in what we call in science and technology. We work in a specific way, and now we are more or less ready to go. After the whole Keshe Foundation team, most of us returned back from different what we call positions around 20th in Linz. Then the proper exhibition structure is set up to be done, and it's a good position for us to use it for the purposes of what we use it for. Every time we announce what is about to happen, we saw specifically 2 or 3 pedophile groups in Germany, Belgium, and in Austria, targeting everything what we said we are about, who's about to attend. We don't attend this kind of entertainment for you lot to be happy you've done something. And you got to understand the game of the technology now is in the hand of the space scientist. And as I said, Keshe Foundation has requested for permission to become a space launching organization. We enter the space technology, we show flights, we show systems which fly, and we don't expect to see the people who were around the Keshe Foundation and internally were destroying whatever we built, and from outside they were getting help. This way we work with the groups we choose, the way we choose, and the promotion of the technology in the appropriate way. And it's very interesting. It's very interesting.
It is interesting, and it's the position, Mr. Keshe, is wonderful to the fact that having seen it, that it's a physical position, but also knowing with the technology the way it's going to bring things forward. And yeah, I know you've positioned it so that we can now show and feel, experience the technology. And we already have, all of us have all experienced it as knowledge seekers, making the cups and experimenting as we have. But within the exhibition centre, it'd be wonderful for people to come along and experience it in a bit much more of a totality sort of a experience, and get to know other knowledge seekers and expand upon the knowledge even more. So exciting times. Thank you so much, Mr. Keshe.
You're welcome. One of the interesting things is that, as a respect to Queen Mary College of London, and as a place where I received my degree as a nuclear physicist, the Queen Mary College University will have a representative in a way acknowledging the knowledge came through the university in the opening of the conference. And in my last visit to the Queen Mary College about 4 or 5 weeks ago in London, the scientists from Queen Mary College, in respect of one of their ex-students as a graduate, as a nuclear physicist, has achieved such a goal, will be present. And this is a great achievement for the university, and especially the University of London, and that such a technology has taken root from one of their students with a graduate as a nuclear physicist. and it'll be a different type of conferences from now on. And hopefully the scientists from the university will attend with this conference, and you will see many scientists from world leading organizations in our conferences. When you attend these conferences from now on, you'll be amongst the most knowledgeable non-knowledge seekers who become knowledge seekers. We'll see what happens and how it takes shape. And you will see, understand more. And we thank the officers of the Queen Mary College University of London for, if they could attend, there is a big problem that many of them have to go back, have to spend 10 days in quarantine at home, locked down. And we're trying to get this sorted. Anyway, let's see what happens and how it takes shape.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. That's wonderful news to know that universities and other outside influences are actually going to participate and be part of the knowledge and learn this valuable universal knowledge that you've been sharing. Thank you. That's great.
We saw a number of professors and elite scientists of Romania in the Bucharest conference. And scientists now are prepared to look and to see, and we will use conditions we have to do. We will have a seminar very soon outside the conference with the world politicians to decide on seeing what is on the table of knowledge, that's what we're going to do next. This is the way to do it. And this is one of the beautiful ways to do it. And we taught enough knowledge, because now it's time to bring the scientists and the diplomats and the politicians in a very secure way to see what it's about, what it is, and make it bigger. Is there any other questions?
Thanks. So, sorry, just one last thing, Ms. Keshe. So I'd like to say thank you so much, because all the knowledge seekers out there, please, if you can, participate, be part of this process, because it's everything that you've learned and you've experienced, and we're coming to a position where it's going to be for you to be part of this huge change. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you.
Any other question, Rick? Or shall we call it a day?
I think you're put in a lot of information for us already here, Mr. Keshe. So perhaps if you want to call it a day, we can.
Don't have any more questions.
Well, there's the questions keep coming. The more you answer, the more it triggers more questions, I think. So it's kind of a never-ending process. But
now people know I was in London. That's a problem, huh? We made a visit to UK. We thank all the knowledge seekers who met with us, or one of two which we wanted to meet. And we thank all your work in UK for the Keshe Foundation. And the structure is set for the Keshe Foundation, with UK Keshe Foundation, to become one of the cornerstones of the knowledge and technology. And the Keshe Foundation holding company is already set up in UK. During my visit, everything was organized, and thanks to knowledge seekers in the background who do a lot of work with us, but we don't release names that they don't become a target. And our first enhancement unit center, most probably before end of this year or beginning of next year, will be opened up, as we have received the orders and the deposits for the first units to be set up and to be shipped in UK. And with it will come the commitment of setting up the manufacturing in UK for specific reasons. We will collaborate with a number of universities in UK for further research and development, and especially with where I come from, the base background of University of London, and my children who brought up in the same university structure. So we will work endeavor to increase the knowledge within the structure of the United Kingdom. Any other question?
well, if you're willing to take a couple more, there's one from Marco in the Q&A here. It says, hello, Mr. Keshe and Rick. Marco Capato, please excuse me to enter your house and ask a question. When I was going to pass energy to someone, I would clap a very loud hand with my universal reactor. At that moment, I felt a field of a lot of love. I ask, is it the sound or the impact of the hands that provides the condition for this transfer of fields?
No, it's the expectation, or not the expectation, intention, you know what you're going to do. You're aware of the intention, so that's what it gives. In a way, you tune, you tune yourself up. There is something I have to mention while we were at this subject. In the next time, very soon, we expect to be in the city of Beijing in China. We put a request to Chinese authorities to organize a conference for Chinese knowledge seekers. This goes on the back of negotiations in the background, outside the Keshe Foundation work, where we work, we are involved with other works with the Chinese. We announce this conference in Beijing in very short time. And the knowledge seekers from Chinese community. We will ask you when we are ready to contact the Keshe Foundation in China, in Jinjiang, which is now the headquarters of Keshe Foundation, for how you want this conference to be and what you want to participate, and some things to be advanced, organized to be able to have this conference smoothly in Beijing. It will take some few more weeks of work with us on the diplomatic side to have this. We attend once hopefully it's organized, still at the top. When we attend the conference in Beijing, it will be as part of the national government diplomatic corps. It's outside the boundary of the work of the Keshe Foundation, but it will be an introduction to Keshe Foundation technology through science and technology interaction between two nations. And I hope this will take shape, and very soon we'll announce this one. And we'll see how we'll take where we introduce the technology as part of the Keshe Foundation into the Chinese nation in a different way. Any other question? Rick, are you still there?
Yes, hello, Mr. Keshe.
Have we lost you?
No, just looking to see if there's a couple more that might be interesting. Another question from Spirophy Jess. It says, in order to transmute the fear emotion, is enough to create with intent from our soul the peace emotion? How could we change some element in our cup of life or universal cup to create the new emotion?
I think a lot of people have started developing the cup of universe. Try to work in a different way. You already made the 5-stacker cup of man with the soul. Now, when you make the cup of universe, put them near to each other, understanding between them, both made by one man, by one soul, and see what is the intention, what you feel in communication when you made the soul of the cup of universe and when you made the cup of man. And try to extend the strength of your soul to the two cups. And sometimes put a camera on or a video on, and see if you see the light of your own soul to extend to the two. This will give you, because it's you, both built by you, both intention by the purpose of your thoughts. See if you can extend your soul beyond the boundary of your physicality through the two systems you made yourself. In a way, it'll be the first time you enter the point of transmutation, the expansion of the physicality or dimension of the soul within the structure of the framework you have made. And then you see, you will understand. This is part of the process which will take you gradually through for knowledge seekers to understand. And then we teach you how to transmute, or what you call, we don't teleport you, we allow you to transmute your intention to emotion of the soul and dimension of travel. There's a lot to come, there's a lot to teach. But maybe those of you who are working, but first thing before you do this, find out how you are connecting your universal cups. And then when you understood and done the right moves, then use the cup of man, the second of 5, and the universal cup. As you are the creator of both, you will see how you can extend your soul beyond the boundary, but within the limitation you have created. It will be interesting time. Very, very interesting time. I'm going to switch one system to another quick because running low battery on mobile.
That's a signal that we should wrap things up. Let's see here.
Hello?
Hello. Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I just switched the system. I think you can see that. Hello. Okay.
Okay, you're still good for a few minutes, or do you want to wrap
no
things?
problem.
Okay, good.
Yep, it's okay. We are good for a few minutes.
All right, let's run through a few more questions here. We have 2 hands up from Marinez and Jalel, and a couple of questions in the Q&As. Okay, Marinez, go ahead. Hello, Marinez. Don't think it's me this time. I think that her microphone it's open. I'm not hearing a voice from you, Marinez. So you.
Excuse me. You hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
we
sorry.
hear you now. Yes.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's the microphone. You heard me. So Mr. Keshe, you said that you still feel the hammer in your hand. I just wanted to ask that how does the soul remedies or handle this traumatization and humiliation of the past? I imagine the soul covers the body, so the body doesn't.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yes. You said that you still feel the nail and the hammer in your hand, in the palm of your hand. I wanted to ask, how does the soul handle this humiliation and traumatizations on the body, because, well, I can imagine that the soul covers the body, so the body doesn't feel all that. And then I can imagine the soul reviews completely this incident, so it just doesn't bother anymore. Because in comparison, in healing techniques, in here, when somebody has a traumatization which bothers in this life, we should let go to the source of that traumatization, that the person feels good at his life now.
Let me explain to you
And the
something.
fear is upset. Yes.
There is no dramatization. There is no what do you call, what you accept to be and what it is. It is interesting to see how we distinguish between a child. And trying to find the right word. When you look at it from the man point of view, I'm trying. To explain in a way which is we look at this from the way you're talking, from the human point of view. We talk about from soul point of view. When you look and work from the soul point of view, the final target, what it is to achieve, is the objective. When you look at it from man's point of view, the fear and what's going to happen and the rest of it is important, and what's going to be. I'm not going to be here. What's going to be it? When a man dies, you see man dying, there's always fear of what happened to children, blah, 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 blah. When in the dimension of the soul, we change the physicality, you look at it, what have we chosen in that dimension of physicality, which targets all, brings us to the end condition of what is to come, what we planned. This is why in the dimension of religion, you call it prophecies, but in the dimension of soul is what we set up to come, but is changed in the word of the man to prophecies. We plan it to be. We go and say, when the next one comes, these are the things and conditions, because we have that time, 1,000 years, 500 years, to create the condition we said is going to be, because we live in different souls and put the people or the physicality in a position to do what we want to achieve. Where In the word of the man, you'd call it a prophecy. You want to go to your mom's house for lunch, you hope, you wish that mom loves you enough that she'll make your favorite food. But when mom invited you for the food, she already knew what you might love. She's going shopping for it. We went to the butcher to get that specific meat, to the grocery to get such and such, and to have that food. We go through that process. We're making the food ready. But what we know is time you come to take in that section. We create that expectation through different physicalities for it to be there. So mom didn't become a butcher, mom didn't become a grocer. She went to arrange it to be. We are in that position of the soul. It's the same soul. You go to mom the next day and she has another, but you knew yesterday you like this, but it's the thing you need next. These are the vitamins you didn't have in the last food, next day you did. So she goes shopping, arranging the same thing from different butcher, different places. So we, as we work through the soul, we organize everything to be to what we said. As you look as a man, because your cycle of physicality is small, you call it the prophecies. It was said it's going to happen, now it's happened. But on the soul side, it's the same man organizing everything that when you come home, the food is there. Because he promised it'll be there. He completes it because he makes all the arrangement to be, it's going to be this at such a time, in such a date, in such a position. These things will happen because he's already made it to happen. This is the difference between you as a humans and us as the souls. And we talk through the dimension of the souls. And then the physicality carries. And in the process, you see what parts are not there. You go to auntie's house, you wanted some food there, you put some things she needed at auntie's house, but you're still home cooking because you know the auntie will come for lunch as well. So we make with the region, there is no belief in whatever, all the animosity, all the worship of the statues. We put a bit of food there for them to become like this when they come for the final day, that everybody has the same thing on the plate when you come for lunch. So we don't look at it the way you look at it, because we live the cycle of the soul. You live the cycle of the man. And the soul, especially in our level, exists for billions of years. So a few thousand years to you is a few seconds to us, but we still go through the process of man's time to be. Then a lot of things become much clearer how the things does. And I've said that in the teaching before. It's the same soul. It just has time. And he has to take time for everything to be ready to catch up. Why do you think we start the process of man going to the moon and rocket technology and everything else to open the minds that it can go to out of this space? And now we teach you a step further. We even control the knowledge, let alone its application and implication. But it's not all that way because man still develops. It has an essence of creating and intellect.
Thank you. I have to listen again, but I got the message. Another thing, like people who give the sacrifice of the most precious thing for people, which is the body, is it that they get a degree? Like I say, it's like the military. You can be a very low soldier. When you sacrifice and you're killed for the integrity for your battle, then you get a higher degree. and higher, which is sacrifice. Is it true, kind of, that for this
That is
kind of
from the
sacrifice,
human, it is a kind of human thinking. Yeah, this is in capitalism. Yeah, the more pain you have, you know, the higher you go. But why do you put yourself into a pain to go higher? Why don't you choose another way to understand the soul? It's the way we've been taught in school of teaching we come from. Suffering, you know, especially in Christianity of today, especially in Islamic world today. The suffering is the path to salvation and heaven. My God, was it this way or is it all made up? It is the way it's been ingrained in us to accept. And that's what it is, that's how we expect to be. Because it's our expectation, not the others. That's why if you listen to a lot of what
the
we
way I
do,
see the martyrs.
you see, we call martyrs. I was explaining this to some politicians and what you call diplomats. Not very long ago. If you look at it, it's the structure, because you're Iranian, you know exactly what I'm talking about. In the early 1980s, the Pope of Vatican decided that the new Islamic religion in Iran is a threat to Christianity, to the control for the rest of the world. And they popped up Saddam Hussein to start attack on Iran. Saddam was an incompetent leader. He didn't have the soul to sit there. But Iran was full of fanaticism with Islam. They had a target. And on the other hand, what did the Pope do? Gave 9 million landmines to Saddam to plant to kill as many as possible, that with less people, then they can break the back of Iranian rules. But the whole thing is irrelevant. But you look at the Iranian side of it. The Iranian religious leaders called for martyrdom for people to walk on these mines. And they went to schools and bought buses of children, gave them a plastic key, and they said it's the key to the heaven, and they got them walking on the landmine, and they called themselves martyr. Which one is actual what we call use of human psychology to control? No Iranian children would have died. There was no need for sacrificing hundreds of thousands of lives if one man as a pope would have not decided to commit such a crime. In fact, by that act, he brought the end of Christianity, where the religion should not get involved in mass murder. And this is why we said it's the end of Vatican. And we saw the repeat of the same thing with the present Vatican, ordering the biggest arm manufacturing to initiate another cycle of killing. This cycle of Christianity has to end. Because in that way, what we saw happening, creating so many children to die in Iran, creating a martyrs, you call it, brought so much suffering, unneeded suffering. And it allowed to consolidate a new dimension of aggression. But again, Iran held borders, we didn't cross the borders. People don't know that because of those landmines and solidarity created in Iran, weeks before signing a peace treaty with Saddam Hussein, was about to conquer the whole of Iraq to bring it back into Iran domination. Americans begged and borrowed for Iran not to cross because they knew they lost it. And then later on, when they got rid of the Saddam by Iraqi situation, that is got chemical warfare and the rest. But 10 years before, it was their allies. They were bombing and feeding up with everything. But the process had a reason, because of what we have brought today, because of it, to create the negotiation with the 5+1, to create a peace talk that will create peace worldwide. We know what we are doing, but we watch when a man makes a mistake, not to be part of it, but learn from it, that we can change the course for it to what we want. And this is what man doesn't see, because you're too busy with daily life. We see from outside the totality. We sit within the soul of this structure. Now, did the martyrs become martyrs in Iran, the children of 8, 9, 7 years old, taken from the schools? Who committed more murder or more what we call aggression? The Pope or the Iranian leaders who put the children on the line? But then it becomes nationalism, then become religiousism, and everything else we see. And this is a cycle of one nation, one planet. We get rid of the cycle of the one borders man has created, then becomes one nation, is not just being a nation, in accepting all one path of belief that we are all from the same creator. There's no need to go to the next step. It's a bigger structure behind one planet, one nation, one race. Much, much bigger than just 3 words. And all will circle the psychology of the man. Any other question?
Yes, we have a couple of questions on the cup arrangement. Gail is asking, in the cup of the universe, do we use silica or silicon?
Anybody knows the periodic table, what's in the body of the man? Go to the periodic, go in the human body structure, you'll find it. Next question. You see, we got to get knowledge seekers to do some homework. They understand more what they're reading. It's good.
All right. And of course, Farzam in the Q&A asks, hello, Rick and Mr. Keshe, what is the percentage of those salts in the universal cup?
What would you like to have? A cell of heart or a cell of toe? Then you have to find what's its salination, what combination for each one.
Okay, that's a good answer.
Not a good answer, it's a fact.
I thought you weren't going to answer that one because it's too detailed and.
No, but the thing is, every cell has and manifests itself in a common denominator salinity, and then its own division salinity. We have, when you have a kidney, has a common denominator salinity, which all the cells produced in that environment of salinity have to have a specific common denominator. And then you have different salinities for different walls of the kidney. You have for different, what do you call it, tissues of the kidney. You understand? This way, this is the how we construct the what you call the spaceships. We, in a way, a lot of knowledge seekers, they just go, oh, it has to be a field. Hold on, what is the salt of it? Without salt of it, you don't create the what we call physicality dimension. And none of the knowledge seekers up to now have understood this. It's the first time I explain it. When I make a flying system, I consider it's not just a field. You have to create that inertia, or what you call salinity. for it to manifest itself. And this is a knowledge seekers don't have, so we leave it at that. You can have as many fields interacting as possible, but if you don't create the environment of it, or what we call salinity, or we call the inertia of it, or we give it the space, the matter would not appear. And I've seen knowledge seekers for years rotating reactors. We do rotate reactors, but we put something else behind it to manifest its physicality. And this is something you have not understood. Even a stone in the dimension of manifestation of his physicality carries a salinity within it, within its own environment. You call it a salt, we call it inertia. We call it dimension and conditions of manifestation. The UFOs outside the surface of the earth, outside the solar system, are different than what is here. They create that condition, even though it's a knowledge within. You see, I've been teaching you a little bit too much today. It's not time for it yet.
Maybe next week.
Maybe. Depends on what the new political situation turns up next week.
Things are rapidly changing around the world, I think, so in many different realms. So maybe it will be next week. Who knows?
Who knows? It depends on what we come. As I requested from the new administration, please, no talk of revenge. Please, no talk of end of a nation. Work as one team. Bring everybody together, not divided. And we hope the new Iranian administration has a wisdom of listen. Wow. You know something very interesting? As we talk, I've just received through a chat line message from Vatican. Very interesting. They're online. It's okay. I'll read it afterwards. Carry on, please. Very, very interesting.
We'll hear about that next week as well.
It is from Mr. So-and-so Vatican. They're online. They don't sit behind.
Yes, no doubt.
There's a lot happening. Okay. Can we carry on, please?
Yes, there's a question from Freed who's asked, Mr. Keshe, recently I was made aware of a fear that the ice caps of the Arctic could melt by next year completely. Could this be averted, or can it eventually be seen as beneficial for Earth's evolution?
I think we got to speak to Whirlpool to make some more freezers very quickly, get them there. I don't know. The change in the environment will create some changes for us, but for the whole ice cap to melt in Mongol, I have no idea about that. It's a very big ice and a very big cap.
Yes, that's true. It is getting much warmer in northern Canada, and the permafrost is melting now in many places, and that makes it difficult for the ice roads to go through, for example, and so on and so forth. Things start sinking into the ground.
Yep, this is what I said past couple of days ago. Be ready for a lot of changes. And I think Corona was one of the best things happened because of it. We will see the end of shipping lines. We will see the end of truck driving. we will see the end of air transportation the way we know within the next 5 years. Maybe 10 if you push it. We will see the emergence of new, what we call transportation systems. We will see a new system. It's not by drones. The Keshe Foundation technologies which are coming online, gradually we show them in this exhibition center. We are working on a transportation system. We can transport the dust to a container within a flick of a finger. There is a lot of things in the background and to be developed in 5 or 10 years. Do you need to contaminate with all these heavy ships crossing with the oil? Wait 10 days? Or would you like to press a button on your telephone and instead of waiting 3 weeks, 4 weeks delivery from Keshe Foundation, if the post decides to deliver it, if the post doesn't stop your parcel because you are a Keshe Foundation, directly from the Keshe Foundation warehouse to your house within 5 minutes. Would you like to pay €50 delivery or 0 delivery? We're getting to that stage. The knowledge and technology reaches that point. Then what's going to happen to it? When we don't burn any more fuel in our cars, when we don't burn any more blah blah in our huge ships, when we don't pollute all these things, what's going to happen? Would the whole planet Earth ice up? No, it didn't ice up for past thousands of years when we didn't have these things. So we are on the verge of a new era. And that era will bring new changes for us. Many of us will come with new diseases because of the change of the air. We ask for clean air, but let me give you clean air, you die because of it, because your lung is not used to it. You prefer the dirty air because you're born in it. You create an immune system for it. Fresh air will kill you. So we're going through this process. When we start these processes, what's going to happen? Would the North Pole ice will melt or will increase suddenly over years by years? Would we go through an ice age? Shall we always start burning, just put, anybody can buy any heater, anywhere, any oil, any refiner, we restart them to heat the earth up because, we have less and less, the ice age is coming. Either way, we play the game. And now this is a cycle of new understanding, new generations. And as I said, nearly 15, 20 years ago, that the most expensive apartments in Tokyo and New York and London worth nothing because nobody wants to live in these cities, deserted. You go outside, you come in, you do your best. And what we've seen with the Corona, we can do more work at home behind the computers than actually attending an office. Secondly, we're going through the other processes, there's more and more will come. Any other question?
I'm just looking through. I think you pretty much covered it. I might have missed one or two. There was a person, Miss May, who, see about that, who's saying they're able to set up a meeting with an environmentalist working at the nuclear plant. Should I point her to the...
what do you mean by that?
Well, apparently Trying to find out here. She wants to introduce the Keshe Foundation and the Fukushima cleanup and the future of nuclear energy to this person. So she's asking what would be the best approach. Would she try to do the actual, introduction of the knowledge, or should she bring that person to this workshop or some other point in the Keshe Foundation as a way they might be able to interact?
Yeah, we are ready to interact. The interesting thing is, nuclear physicists now understand the plasma technology much faster, because we can show deliveries of technologies, deliveries of the systems.
It's putting the pressure on for.
No, it's just that the nuclear scientists, the new generations, are not really nuclear scientists. They're a bunch of mechanical engineers and electrical engineers and physicists. Then it's easier to talk to these people, because you can show them things that they understand in their own level.
Mr. Keshe, Carl has a question I think is perhaps relevant to him at least, and perhaps others. Will there be a time when all cycles of life will be as one, will be one? As when we die, we go to another cycle. Will there be someday reuniting all those cycles to one?
Oh no.
It's a bit of an awkward question, but he's French, I think, so it's a bit translated, but maybe you get the gist of it.
You see, I'm trying to find a way. We are part of the everlasting recycling. If you learn, if you're happy to be in a physical condition, you're staying in a physical condition. But if you can extend your, what do you call, life by getting rid of what is causing you problem in physical condition to the extension of the soul, you never die. You leave position, but you never die. The souls will give their energy to the other souls to become part of, but they never die. Death is a condition of physicality, because man doesn't understand that it becomes the cycle of another thing. The freedom of the soul of the man encaged by the physicality of the man. Now the prisoner has nothing to watch for, so he steps down. He has imprisoned the soul for long enough. So we come to understand different way. And do you need to go through that process of leaving your physicality? Death is the fear of the man, because he didn't know what to do and how he could collaborate with his own, with what he created. But if you create the soul that it creates the physicality, you can move on. You don't cry because you take your clothes off and you put another clothes under you. Every time you go to change clothes from one suit to another, do you cry? because you know the man inside is the man inside, and it will be the man inside. So you don't leave the man in the suit, you hang on the cupboard or in whatever.
I think
This
maybe
is the
Mr.
fear of the man. Pardon?
Some people might like, I think in Carl's case, perhaps I'm suggesting, might be missing those that have already passed, like you know, the family members or animal pets and things like that. And
If they pass, have you ever had a dream of them? Have you ever seen them? If you've seen them, so they haven't died, they're still there. Now you have to find the soul.
so he's saying, is there a time when we get to an elevated point or part of our evolution where we see the whole picture and all of these entities become visible to us again? Or
You are in a dimension of the soul. Not really in the dimension of soul, you're already part of it. If you want to see everybody together, your mom, your dad, the dog, and the uncle who died, and the other one, give a party at the soul level and see who turns up. They're all there.
And it'll never be recreated in terms of the physicality of seeing all the physical
we
entities all in one place, all those life cycles all together again. I don't
not?
think so.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Because you're not dealing, you translate it to the language of the emotion of the man. And that's the difference. Translating to the language of emotion is very different than physical sight. Any other question? We're running to.
Well, I think you're pretty much answered things. If there's any leftovers, they can bring them to next week's workshop.
Yep. Can I send you my invoice for today's teaching, please?
Yes, definitely.
Thank you very much.
We'll pay you double for today's workshop.
I'm still waiting for number 1 to be paid. You're in 391.
I know what you mean.
Thank you very much for today. And hopefully we will be there again next week and in the coming weeks. We welcome the new Iranian administration and his officers, President Raisi of Iran. And we hope that'll be a change for millions of Iranians who suffered for years in this process. And then hope will bring much more to it and much more to understand how mankind can change so easily. Thank you very much for today. And hopefully we'll see you next week.
Very good, Mr. Keshe. We look forward to that. And as you mentioned, we should have the KF TV ready next week, so people can make sure they check that out as well. It'd be nice if they sign up at the site that's available and become part of the KF TV network.
Yep. Thank you very much. We're still looking for producers. We are still waiting for our what you call news license certification to be issued next few days or couple of weeks. And the Austrians are taking their time, and then hopefully then we can pass through the structure which is set to appoint different what we call news teams around the world to start going to what we've done. But I think it was a good thing because now our television station is done and is ready. We received the last pieces of furniture for it apparently late last night. And by the time next week, hopefully it'll be set. In the next 2 or 3 weeks, we will see another structure moving on in all units. Thank you very much for today. And let's see what the future brings us. It's bright and beautiful, what is going to come. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Okay, this is, well, first of all, I'll mention that the next public teaching will be the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace coming up. What is the date? Will be in August already, August 3rd, Tuesday, August 3rd. And I look forward to members of the Universal Council delivering that workshop. And
Can I suggest something? It's very interesting. Tuesday, August the 3rd is the beginning of Iran administration. I would like to ask the Universal Council to pay attention and bring the soul of the Iranian new leaders to a new level of understanding of peace. And maybe we all benefit by it. Maybe it's not coincidental, the two matching the same day. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Okay, let me see here. We've got. We're going to play the ending ads, and that should be it for today. Thank you, everybody, for attending today's workshop. And just give me a minute here. I'll get that set up. Thanks for all the great questions and for attending. All right. Bye for now.
Innovative, revolutionary, stellar development, purest universal knowledge. In a transformative, futuristic design. The Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit. The very first new evolutionary spaceship technology has been rolled out for mass production. Our Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit is constructed from high-quality materials carefully selected by our team of experts. Embedding the essence of the new GAN's plasma science and technology, it uses collective plasma field technology for changing and enhancing the environment of the body of the man. This new plasma enhancement changes the environment of the body to allow it to return to its natural, balanced energetic condition, as in the womb of the mother, allowing every cell in the body of the man to find its natural, original field strength balance. The shape and field distribution in this new space plasma technology replicates the inner structure of the universe and replicates the balance fields from which the man was created at the point of inception in the womb of the mother, not only receiving balance in the physical, but also in the emotional sense too. For the first time in the history of man, a system has been developed and delivered which not only enhances the physical body of the man, but also enhances the emotional part of the user of the system, hence reducing and eliminating many problems that could not be solved in the world of science, to bring the body of the man into near perfection, as at the time of birth. This new spaceship technology can be within the reach of every man today and can be ordered by medical practitioners, sports specialists and healthcare centres. The Universal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the future you have been waiting for, is here. The journey from space to spaceship technology has started. Every order is subject to a contractual agreement and might require additional accessories priced separately for applications according to each case. You can order or contact us at office@at.kfm.global for additional information. Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. KesheFoundation.org/donate.